You're listening to the Red Man Podcast.
Welcome back to the latest edition of the Red Man Podcast. I'm Chris Mosley, joined as always by Mr. Kolby Cron. And what were you going to say? I'm sorry.
I didn't say anything. I was just going to ask you if you had a great Thanksgiving.
Well, I was about to say the same thing. I was going to say we just literally got done with Thanksgiving. Yeah, I had a great Thanksgiving. As always, I do every single year. I always eat too much because usually, I don't know if it's how it is with you, but I'm usually going to multiple houses and repeating the process over the course of 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, so we went somewhere on Thanksgiving with my wife's family, and she had to cook kind of short notice for pretty much everything because her mother ended up getting sick for the holidays, which was unfortunate. But we had to kind of go acquire everything from her and then bring it to our house to cook it and then take it back to her grandmother's house to have it. So it was a busy Thanksgiving day for us. And then the following day, my family came to our house and we ate leftovers and watched the unfortunate result of the Egg Bowl.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about the Egg Bowl. That's a whole different comment. Don't put me in a bad mood. Did you have any awkward moments during Thanksgiving? Because I had a couple with my families.
No, I didn't. So I'll let you share yours.
For example, my wife, like your wife, spent a lot of time cooking and preparing because we were hosting Thanksgiving for one of these get-togethers that we went to. And my wife put a lot of effort into it. She worked her butt off, made a little bit of everything, including a ham. We had turkey, we had ham, and all the other stuff. That we actually, a lot of the dishes we talked about in our survey on the last episode. But anyway, my parents show up, walk in the door, and guess what my mother has? Cooked ham that she has prepared.
So it was a battle of the hams.
Crystal, oh no. We weren't going there. So Crystal immediately grabs our ham and shoves it into the refrigerator to hide it.
Oh, Lord.
So I don't know. I don't think my wife listens to this podcast or my mother. So hopefully, this won't stir up any drama in my own family. But that was an awkward moment. And frankly, some of the other awkward moments I probably shouldn't even share on this podcast. So we'll leave it at that. The point is, it was a good holiday, had a good time, ate too much. Sounds like it was the same for you.
Absolutely. I'm still recovering currently.
And now we get to shift gears and start thinking about Christmas. And I try to think, how do we incorporate Christmas into this podcast that deals with insects and entomology? And I think I found a couple ways to do it, especially with this episode here. So in our insect profile this week, we're going to discuss an insect that I have never heard of. It's called the Mistletoe Marble Moth. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I have not.
Well, me either. So we'll learn about it together.
Do you have to kiss somebody if it flies over your head?
Maybe. Like I said, we'll learn a lot of this together, I think. And then another thing that you're going to cover that I'm actually more interested in is Christmas tree hitchhikers.
Yeah. There's a lot of pests you can bring to your home on any kind of vegetation or plant, but especially a Christmas tree if you're one who partakes in live Christmas trees.
You go out to a Christmas tree farm, cut the tree down, bring it home. You don't know what all is in that tree.
You may have some others celebrating Christmas with you, which, hey, the more the merrier in some cases, but I don't know if this is one of them.
It could very easily happen, and you're going to talk about not only what could potentially be in that tree, but maybe some things to possibly prevent it from happening.
Correct.
And then I even have a news segment that I'll share of a family that did deal with some Christmas tree hitchhikers in their tree, their live tree.
Some extra ornaments.
Exactly. All right, so let's get started with the Mistletoe Marble Moth. Obviously, it's a moth. It's a winged insect with a wingspan approximately 16 to 18 millimeters, roughly 1.6 to 1.8 centimeters. Not a very large moth by no means. The forewings, it kind of gets its name because it's got a marbled pattern mixing white fawn and cobalt blue or some dusky tones. It's an appearance that helps camouflage the moth and it actually resembles something kind of disgusting that I won't reveal that yet. We'll get back into that in a minute.
Okay.
The mistletoe thing, well, hang on. Before I get to that, let me tell you where it's found. Europe, from Great Britain across to Eastern Europe. And in Britain, it's historically been recorded in a limited number of counties and is considered a pretty rare and scarce insect. So it's kind of hard to find these things. The presence of them tend to coincide with old orchards, hedgerows, or trees which support its food plant, in particular where mistletoe grows, which leads to why it's called the Mistletoe Marble Moth. Mistletoe on traditional fruit trees, especially apple trees, has historically been a key habitat for the species. And unfortunately, because many traditional orchards have declined or been lost over time, the habitat for the mistletoe marble moth has also shrunk, which is a big contributing factor to why it's so rare these days. So life cycle, these things lay eggs on mistletoe leaves in the late summer. So it would have been really cool if it had been around Christmas.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking it was named, because it's something that came about during the holidays.
No, I mean, it's because it hangs out with mistletoe so much. But unfortunately, it lays its eggs late summer, roughly July through August. The larvae, soon after hatching, caterpillars burrow into a mistletoe leaf and create a leaf mine. Initially, mine is a narrow corridor on the lower surface, and as the larva grows, by spring, this mine becomes a full-depth, inflated, sort of looks like a blister, and it's often very visible by late spring. So it overwinters inside the leaf mine, which, if you don't know what overwintering means the species spends the winter as a leaf miner rather than as an adult or pupa. The pupation stage occurs in late spring, usually around June. The larva exits the mine, pupates in a loose cocoon, typically under bark or among whatever the host tree is, the leaves on the host tree. So the adults are very active in July and August. During the day, they often rest on tree trunks, and at night, they may come to light. So if you do have a Christmas tree up in July, they will come to it. Maybe.
Some people do. It's getting more and more common.
Well, you
They
hear
just
all
do
this
year-round
this
Christmas
stuff.
trees.
When you also hear this, people talking about Christmas in July all the time.
Yeah.
What is that?
It's just it's another capitalism marketing ploy to sell you stuff during the summer, because they have a dip in sales during the summer period compared to the holidays.
That makes sense. So what does it eat? Well, as a larva, it's they feed by mining the leaves of the mistletoe. We talked about that. And although many records come from mistletoe that grows on apple trees and old orchards, it doesn't strictly require an orchard. Mistletoe on other suitable trees, such as the hawthorn, the poplar, the pear, the willow, whatever depends on whatever is around locally, it can also host the moth. And because it relies so heavily on the mistletoe, its fate is ultimately closely related to the survival of the mistletoe populations, which obviously depends on having suitable host trees and the correct ecological conditions. As I said, they are pretty rare, and in the UK, it is listed under the National Biodiversity Action Plan as a priority species. Its rarity, as we said, is driven by the decline in orchard habitats and associated mistletoe populations. And because mistletoe itself is somewhat of a fragile plant, the moth faces pressure as its host plant becomes more scarce. And I think mistletoe is also susceptible to some sort of parasite that can wipe it out, and that's a big problem as well. So the conservation of old orchards and awareness of mistletoe's ecological importance is often cited as key to helping the moth's long-term survival. So now back to the camouflage. So you haven't seen what one of these look like, or have you?
I have not, no.
Okay. Well, I tried to describe it earlier. I think I described it as it's a mixture of white fawn and cobalt blue. It's kind of dusky tones to it. ultimately, what the camouflage resembles is bird crap. It's fascinating to me how many of these insects that we talk about either use some sort of camouflage or mimicry to avoid predators. Because it does make sense. What kind of predator wants to eat bird crap?
I don't.
And it makes me wonder, it's hard for me to wrap my head around how this process, this evolution process occurs. Like, it's natural selection is what it's called. And so I guess to put it in simple terms, if you go way, 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 way back, there was probably a mistletoe marble moth. We'll just call him George. And he looks like bird crap. And all the other moths didn't like George because he looks like bird crap. And they're like, we don't want to hang out with George. He looks like crap.
It looks like crap.
I mean, who wants to hang out with a friend that looks like crap?
I mean,
and so it was probably a lonely life for George. But as time went on, they realized, you know what? The predators don't really seem to care about George either. Why is that?
Let's all look like crap.
Well, it's probably because George looks like crap. And who wants to eat crap?
Right.
No one.
Right.
So they're thinking, man, looking like crap is probably the way to go. We need to look like crap. So then they strive to look like bird crap. And now we're off to the races. All these years go by, and now all of them look like crap.
They all adapt.
All because George started it, before it was cool.
That's crazy. Well, that kind of going back to something else you were talking about, and I may have missed it, so I apologize if I did. Did you? The moth benefits from the mistletoe, but does the mistletoe benefit at all? From
No, I didn't
moth?
Cover that. Did you find something where it does, or you don't?
No,
know?
I'm asking because I just thought it would be a good time to point out symbiotic relationships because it is a big deal in both the plant industry and the insect world. So there's several different types of symbiotic relationships. Mutualism, which is where both species benefit the plant and the insect. Then you have commensalism, which I'm thinking potentially, depending on how destructive these moths are to the mistletoe, I'm not sure. That's where one species benefits and the other one's indifferent, unbothered, unharmed by it. And then there's parasitism, which is where one benefits and the other one is harmed. Mm-hmm. So I guess we'll have to do a little more research on this one to get the correct answer, but it sounds like it's probably commensalism or parasitism in this case, which is very interesting, considering it holds the namesake.
It is. Anyway, obviously I picked it because it has mistletoe in the name. Aside from that, it don't have a thing to do with Christmas. It doesn't look red and green. And
you don't have to kiss somebody when they fly over your head, anything like that.
No, okay, but it does hang out a lot around mistletoe. So if you happen to be in the UK and you've got mistletoe in your home, before you kiss underneath it, you may want to look up and see if there's a mistletoe marble moth that evolved from George.
Gotcha.
So now you're going to get us into what I think is the more interesting segment today. We're going to talk about Christmas tree hitchhikers.
Christmas tree hitchhikers. I mean, I think first and foremost, I'll be honest with you. I've never lived in a household, nor is my household currently one that partakes in live Christmas trees.
Really? You've never in your entire life had a live Christmas? That is
never,
sad. I feel sorry for you.
I wouldn't even really know how to deal with them if it wasn't for reading some of this content we're talking about today.
If I think back through my entire life, I will say the majority of my life was probably artificial trees. But there were instances that I remember as a kid where we went to the Christmas tree farm, cut the tree down, took it home. And certainly it's been a lot more in my adult life. My wife likes live trees.
So you'll have a live tree this year?
This is the first year we haven't.
Really?
She decided this year she doesn't want to deal with it. So this is the first time I think she's had an artificial tree.
Interesting.
We did poll the employees with Redd Pest Solutions and just find out how is it? I mean, do more people prefer artificial trees or live trees? And I even put the neither option in there in the survey. What do you think the response was? Which way do you think it went?
I would think more people prefer artificial at this point.
Well, you're correct. You are correct. It was pretty one-sided. It was right at 58% of the employees that took part in this survey said that they prefer artificial trees. Another 36% said real ones. And then we had a couple of, a few Scrooges, unfortunately.
That said neither.
That said they don't want either.
Wow.
Like 6% of our folks said neither.
You should have had a subcategory for aluminum trees because they're making a comeback.
Well, do you think that's what it was, or just people just don't want a tree in their house? It makes me wonder. I almost wish I kind of want to know with these people what's going on. Why don't you want a Christmas tree? Which is fine. It's your prerogative.
Maybe they do like a Christmas wreath, or they do something else. I mean, I've seen all kinds of. Maybe they don't celebrate Christmas. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities.
That's true. Now that would make
religions
sense. Now
and stuff like
that would actually make sense if we've got people that just don't celebrate Christmas in general. Then that makes sense.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, I'm gonna throw a curveball at you before we get into the topic. Have you ever done pest control at a Christmas tree farm?
Never. Have you?
I have.
Wow, something you've done that I have not.
I have. Funny enough, it was not really for general pest or, tree plant-based pest.
Rodents.
It was for termites.
Termites. Oh, imagine that.
They were not in the Christmas trees, however. They were in their warehouse in the home that was on the property. This is a very nice Christmas tree farm, and it was ate up with
Really?
termites. Sure
Wow.
was. So I've had the pleasure of spending a few days at this Christmas tree farm, and kind of learning a little bit about the operation and what goes into Christmas trees, even though I've never purchased one myself.
So basically, that was your first experience on a Christmas tree farm was for work.
Was for work, yeah.
Wow. And you still, at that point, you were like, man, this is kind of cool. I think I want to talk my wife into doing a live tree.
Yeah, it did make me think about, one day having some land and actually growing and selling my own Christmas trees, but the thought never crossed my mind to go, I want to put one in my house.
You have to do it with your kid at least once.
It's kind of like going to get pumpkins from the pumpkin patch.
It is. It's a whole experience, and kids really get into it, and they love it. You walk around out there, you find the perfect tree, you all agree on it, you pick it out, and then somebody comes out and cuts it down, and you take it home.
Well, unfortunately, however, even though I haven't had to deal with it personally, there are some negatives to having a live Christmas tree. And the main point of topic today are the pests that you can bring in your home when you do bring a Christmas tree home from the farm. So I'm going to briefly just touch on a few of those major players in the Christmas tree pest game. And then we're going to talk a little bit about how you can prevent that and other alternatives that you can look at. So first and foremost, with any wood product, any trees that you would bring into your home, and this goes for cross ties that people use in construction, lumber, you're going to deal with wood boring beetles. So bark beetles are very common, longhorn beetles are fairly common, and then other beetles that are more common to infest your house through other means as well, which are carpet beetles. All these insects feed or excavate in some capacity cellulose, organic material, and once they take hold in your home also has a lot of that material around and about, whether it's wood flooring, whether it's, different spices and herbs you keep in your pantry, or even carpet or drapes are made out of, in some cases, organic materials. So when those are introduced through a Christmas tree brought in your house, you don't think about it. It may result in an infestation you deal with down the road, and you think back, well, how did this happen? It very well could have came from your Christmas tree. One that's a little more common that doesn't have as bad of a side effect are aphids and scale insects. This is almost a guarantee.
Right. It is.
You are going to have these on your Christmas tree. You may not be able to see them with the naked eye. They may be under the bottom of a pine needle or a spruce needle, whatever those are called, the leafing aspect of the tree. But they're also probably going to be on the limbs and the trunk of the tree. And honestly, there's no real negatives to bring those on there. Once the tree is quote unquote dead, and they're not going to be able to feed on it any longer. So they're going to die on their own, and they're not going to be able to find another source to base themselves off of unless you have like a plant sanctuary in your house.
And you're exactly right. It's pretty much a guarantee you're going to bring these into your house. The good thing for Christmas tree farmers is most people never know it and they never see them. Otherwise, if they did, there'd probably be a lot more people doing artificial trees now. But you're exactly right. That's pretty much a guarantee.
So the next one that is also pretty common that also can have some negative side effects, at least in the short term, are mites. If you've ever, rummaged through the forest hunting or, playing as a kid, you likely had a red bug on you, as we call it in the South. Those can get on your skin. Those can irritate you. They don't live very long indoors. It's not the right environment for them, but your pets can be affected. They can get in your carpet. And of course, they can cause irritation on you, but they will not live very long indoors. The humidity and the temperature is not right for them. A few other things that might be brought in that are just a visual inconvenience are caterpillars and moth larvae. You may have a little cocoon pop up here and there, but these are just generally on the tree and can be brought in, and they're not really going to cause you many problems. And then flies and midges. These are definitely ones that can be brought in inadvertently and cause a little bit of a problem, whether you have some trash exposed, different food out around your house for the holidays. They could come off that tree and reproduce, and you may have to do a little pest control there. Call a pest control company to help you out with those items. And then other common ones that you would definitely think of on a regular basis as you bring anything into your house from outdoors: ants and spiders.
Right.
They're just going to be on the surface. They can cause a minor inconvenience. They could bite you. They can, kind of post up in your home for the holidays. Regular pest control plan, it's nothing to worry about.
Let me speak to that one. So last year, we had a live tree. Actually, it was the biggest tree that we ever had. I felt like Clark Griswold. My wife, for the first time, she was sick, so she couldn't go with us to get the tree. And she's like, Chris, just pick it out. Mm-hmm. Well, I probably didn't put as much thought into it as she would have. I just picked the biggest tree that I could find. I got to the house. It wouldn't even fit. It was too tall.
You had to modify it.
I did. I had to trim the top up a little bit and everything. But anyway, it was a big tree, biggest tree we've ever had. As a matter of fact, the stand we had really couldn't even support it. It fell down once.
Oh my gosh.
I had to put it back. Anyway, it was a massive tree. So one night, shortly after we had gotten it ready or set up finally, all the lights, ornaments, everything's on it. I'm sitting in the recliner watching television in the room alone, living room. There are no other lights on except from the television and the lights on the Christmas tree. So I'm sitting there watching television, and I notice what looks like a shadow go across the top of the ceiling and the light. And I'm thinking, okay, that's weird. But I didn't really pay attention to it. I kept watching television. I saw it again. Well, now it's got my attention, so I'm just focusing on the ceiling, this shadow that keeps appearing. Well, it happens again. And this time, I could clearly make out the silhouette of a spider on my roof, on my ceiling.
Yeah.
So there was a light near the top, and this spider had situated itself just perfectly in front of that light to where it projected the silhouette of the spider on the ceiling. And it looked like something out of a horror movie. It's kind of scary looking.
I can imagine. I'm picturing it in my head.
So I call my wife in there. She sees it, and of course, I'm comfortable. I'm watching television, but at that point, no, Chris, you got to get up and get that spider. So this is, again, it's a tall tree. I've got a really tall ceiling in my living room, so I have to go get a ladder, climb up there, catch the freaking spider, and get it out of there. So, yes, spiders are probably pretty common as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely not one that really relies on the tree heavily, because one of the points I'll make, going back to what I learned visiting and helping out a Christmas tree farm owner, is when this is their business. They put a lot of time and effort into maintaining, taking care of these trees during cold snaps.
Right.
Because it takes years and years and years for these trees to get to a size where people would want to purchase them.
That's true.
This is not a 1-year operation. This takes decades in some cases. Mm-hmm. And so when they fertilize these trees, and it actually has some systemic pesticides in it that help prevent the aphids and the beetles and certain things that may infest them over time, for one, to protect the tree's health as it continues to grow, but also to keep them from being introduced into your home. So all that to say this, please don't just go out into the forest and cut down some random tree. If you live in a part of the country where those are more prevalent, they're not down here in the South. We have pine trees. I don't think anybody's putting those in their living room, but go to a reputable Christmas tree farm. A lot of these problems can be prevented if you do so.
That's a good point, because a lot of people still do that. I remember as a kid, my grandmother dragging me into the woods, and we looked for a Christmas tree and cut it down.
Wow.
So yeah, that happens.
Yeah, definitely be mindful of that. But whether you get it from a Christmas tree farm or you go out in the forest and try your luck there, there's a few just key steps you can take to kind of help minimize the risk. First and foremost, with anything you bring in from outdoors, shake the tree. Shake it off, inspect it really well. Make sure there's no boreholes or residues or webs or ants crawling on it. To most people's naked eye, you're going to be able to pick up most of these issues and kind of rectify them before you bring them in the house, and that's the key point. But also, don't do like Chris did and by himself bring that tree in right away because you're in a rush, as Chris normally is. give some time, leave it out on your front patio, your back porch, and your garage if need be, and kind of let it air out a little bit. Give the insects that may be on it some time to scatter, because they will disperse and go on about their business given the opportunity. Make sure that you're watering the tree regularly is important, not just for its visual appeal, but also for keeping it stress-free and keeping pests away from it. Make sure that you constantly are cleaning and maintaining the tree. Some people are, they're getting Christmas trees up November 1st. So this is a 2-month process for some people, or longer, going to the new year. And they're going to fall apart a little bit. They're going to, drop debris. Make sure you clean that up. That's just a clean environment's good for pest control. And then avoid cutting trees in general from high-risk areas, kind of like what we already said. If there's a forest that has a big bark beetle infestation going on, and you can read about that in your local state extension publications where that's kind of occurring from year to year, because it does change. Maybe don't go do that. Like I said, go to a Christmas tree farm. They're going to have on a regiment that's going to be a little bit healthier for the tree and for your home in general. So.
Right. Those are really good points. And as I said, as promised, I've got a little news segment here. This is actually, hang on, I wrote it down because I try to give credit where it's due. This was from an ABC affiliate, WMAR, out of Baltimore. Several years ago, there was a family that did deal with some of the stuff that Kolby's talking about. So here's that news segment.
This Christmas, there could be a lot more than ornaments hanging from your tree.
According to Safer Brands, there could be up to 25,000 different pests in a tree. Most commonly aphids, spiders can get in, beetles.
These are mites, and they were hibernating in a family's Christmas tree. After several days of settling into their new home, they decided to hatch and crash the party.
Once introduced into a warm environment, such as a house, they tend to reactivate and wreak havoc around the Christmas tree.
Nobody wants uninvited guests. Pest czar Sasha Malenkovich recommends vigorously shaking the tree in the parking lot, leaving it sit in your garage a few days, visually inspecting the tree for any pests before you buy, using a leaf blower, or pre-treating the tree before it's brought into your home.
Mites and aphids are a little harder to notice, but it might look like a white and black specks, almost like salt and pepper specks around the pine tree needles.
According to Jeff Nickel, bug breakouts are uncommon. He's been selling trees for 58 years with just one complaint of a mite infestation.
Because all these trees are cultivated, they're constantly being sprayed for needle cast and disease and insects. So that's why you don't have a problem. But a lot of these tree farms where you cut your own tree, they can't afford to do that. So they're the ones where you're going to get the problems. And there has been problems with the cut your own places.
He and other tree farmers can't guarantee a bug-free Christmas tree, but Nichols says he comes close, and that's way better than the artificial alternative.
Every one person that walks off here says the price is too high, I'm not going to spend that money, I'll get an artificial tree. We'll have 2 people come back that had artificial trees and want a live tree. They can't capture the smell of a live tree.
So he was not only trying to talk about the bug situation, he was trying to sell him some Christmas trees.
That's right. Yeah, he was crapping all over the DIY cut places and the artificial trees. So
Yeah,
he
he
was really trying to point you in the direction of legit. Which I agree. If you're going to go that route, I think you do need to do, because he kind of spoke to it. All the effort and money they put into it, you're getting something for that money. You're not just getting the same tree you can go cut yourself. It's been taken care of, and it's going to be healthier. It's going to last longer, smell better, and have less pests. So that's pretty big deal. One thing I do want to mention quickly, Chris, that's not really in our notes to talk about today is the practice of people spraying their Christmas trees, live Christmas trees, with hairspray.
I've never heard of this.
You've never heard of this?
You brought this up before we started, and I haven't.
So I think you named our chat that we have at work for this month, Griswold residents.
Right.
Well, the Griswolds treated their tree with hairspray.
Did they?
And it caught on fire.
I've seen that movie a million times. I don't recall that.
Yeah, so it was a common thing done. I mean, I guess it's still done in a lot of places, or some people do it, but people would spray the tree with hairspray because it prevents the pine needles from falling off and just allows the tree to last a little bit longer. But hairspray, for one, is very toxic if inhaled in large quantities to you and your pets. it's also extremely flammable. And there's a lot of things around your home that could potentially catch it on fire. And the other thing that aids to the flammability of it is when that tree does start to dry out, there's nothing that catches fire quicker than an old Christmas tree.
It'll burn quick.
So be careful with that. We don't recommend using hairspray. Just get a good quality tree, and you won't have to worry about some of those things. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely dangerous.
All right. Well, I think that was a lot of good information about Christmas trees and how to prevent that from being a problem in your home, so you don't have some extra guests when it comes time to celebrate Christmas. So I did enjoy that particular segment. So now it's time for our Tech Talk segment, and today we've got one of our supervisors from our Gulfport, Mississippi office. We've got Mr. John Levron. So, John, does anyone call you Jonathan, or is it everyone calls you John?
I just have everybody call me John. I ain't having people trying to call me Jonathan.
None of your parents call you Jonathan?
Oh, yeah. My mom, she says she's adamant about it.
Is she really? Yes, she's like, I named you Jonathan, by God. You're going to go
right.
That's what we're going with.
Yep.
You're going to go by Jonathan.
That's right.
So, at the beginning of the episode, Kolby and I talked a little bit about how our Thanksgiving went. How did yours go?
It went great. We had a lot of family over. We did miss one of my sister-in-laws. They were in Illinois, but
really,
otherwise they got a brand new baby, so they couldn't travel during the holidays.
So you ate a lot of turkey, I assume.
A lot of ham.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you not a turkey fan, or you just didn't have turkey?
We just didn't have a lot of turkey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we didn't get the chance.
So we did a survey last week also on favorite dishes. Mm-hmm. Did you have a favorite?
A favorite?
Thanksgiving dish?
As far as my family makes, my favorite one I'd probably have to say is probably the green bean casserole.
Green bean casserole? And that was one of the ones that we didn't get a lot of
That's
votes.
actually my wife's favorite as well.
Is it really?
Casserole, yeah.
Wow.
She loves it.
I mean, I know there's people that do, and we certainly had it as an option at our little get-togethers, but it did not do well in our survey. So John was one of the few people at Redd Pest Solutions, I guess, that claims that to be his favorite.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, so we're moving into the Christmas holidays now. So we talked a little bit about Christmas trees and pests that you might can bring into your home on a Christmas tree if you partake in live trees in your home. Mm-hmm. Do you partake in live Christmas trees, or have you ever throughout your life?
I have. When we were in Texas, we lived there for about 3 years, and we had fancy apartments. They had the fireplaces in them. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to go just do something a little fancy. We got a live tree. That was the one time we did it.
Yeah. Really?
Because it winded up with figured out being a big hazard. Pine everywhere and open fire, not a good combination.
No. Did you like buy it at a lot, or you went to a Christmas tree farm, or do you remember?
It was a little lot that they had over there. It was I don't know if you're familiar with Texas at all. It's a clean area. It was I think it was actually in Harker Heights where we bought the tree.
Well, I've already learned something about John. I didn't know that you lived in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
At any point.
Yeah. It was when I was in the Army.
Okay.
We were stationed at Fort Hood for 3 years.
Okay.
So we got
how long were you in the Army, John?
6 years.
6 years.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your service, John.
No problem.
I did not. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't realize that.
Yes,
and that's honest. That is one of the reasons why we like to do this.
Yeah.
Because it's like
you always learn something
every single time we do this, it seems like I learn something new about the person that we're talking to. So how long have you been doing pest control, or how long have you been in this business?
In the business, I started in 2022. I came here right before Kolby moved over from Abbott.
Okay. So this has been your only experience in the pest control industry so far as it Redd?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, good. Obviously, you like it because
Yeah.
not only has he hung around, but you got a promotion and you moved into a supervisor role.
Yes,
so
sir.
Talk about that a little bit. Are there ever days, John, where you just miss being back on a pest route?
There's some days. I know I have my slower days now as a supervisor, so I am adjusting to that a little bit. I'm used to being on the road, just go and get my stuff done. And a lot of time now I'm, having to look, not necessarily look for work, but, making sure everybody else is on their P's and Q's like I was as a technician.
Right. Because I'm going to tell you, there's plenty of days where I miss it, where I'm thinking, man, especially when I see the kind of money some of these technicians make, man, they make some good money, and the salespeople too. Yeah. And there's a lot of days where I'm like, man.
Absolutely.
Well, there's something beautiful about, especially during this time of the year where your customers really, really appreciate you. The holidays, it may be a little cool outside, but everybody's happy to see you. It's around the holidays. Everybody's thankful. They're getting ready for Christmas. You get to see everybody's Christmas decorations, which is fun in and of itself. But you also just don't really have a worry in the world. You're solving problems and visiting with your folks, and it's just a good time of the year to be out there and enjoying the business.
That's how I built my repertoire with a lot of my route was during the holidays. Because everybody was a little bit more relaxed. Everybody was able to talk a little bit more. I had a little bit more time to spend that time with that customer.
That's awesome. I have some of my fondest memories from back when I did run a pest route. Really did kind of surround the holiday season, because when you do this stuff long enough and you get acquainted with these people and their family, you almost kind of become part of their family almost. And I remember many occasions where customers would give me a Christmas gift and
cookies and
I've had everything from cookies to coffee mugs to money. I mean, all kinds of things that have been given to me for the Christmas holidays, which is that's just one of those things you don't really know until you get in the business and you start doing. And obviously, it also speaks to how well of a job you're doing. If they think that highly of you, well, they'll do that for you. Do you any crazy gifts or anything stand out that a customer gave you? Or
Yes, actually, and it was actually a super sweet gift. It was when my daughter or my wife was pregnant, and my wife was close to being going into labor. And just before that, it was a lady in Wiggins. We went out there originally for fleas, and we found out she had a German roach problem. Well, we wound up solving both of those problems. And she was super thankful of that. And we got to talking to one day. I kind of told her, how my wife was pregnant. We were expecting soon. And she was so happy and excited for me. She wound up knitting me a blanket for my daughter.
That's awesome.
I still have it at home.
That's awesome, man, because that took time and work and a little bit of tender love and care from her to do that, and to think highly enough of you to do that, to spend the time to do that. It says a heck of a lot. Yeah. That's really cool, and I'd hang on to that forever.
Yeah.
That just shows the impact that you can make doing what we do to people, because I mean, that obviously left an impression on her to want to do that, because like you said, that does take time and consideration. So that was awesome.
So what would you say if there's anyone out there that aspires to move up? No longer, maybe they've been a technician for a while, maybe they've been a salesperson for a while, and they have aspirations of advancing and moving up. Do you have any advice or anything that you could give them?
The biggest thing is letting your leadership know that you're interested to begin with, because I know a lot of technicians that get in the route, and even some of our more experienced or tenured technicians, they don't want to move up. They want their route.
That's
like
right.
you said, they want to make that money. Yeah. So the biggest thing is letting leadership know, and then staying, like I said, on your P's and Q's, and making sure you're getting your stuff done and showing that drive and putting your foot forward.
That's good advice, and you actually hit on something there. And there are plenty of salespeople and technicians that are completely happy and content doing that, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all.
Because we need those people. But you said it. If you ever do have some sort of desire, I mean, if you don't speak up and no one knows, it's kind of hard. If someone doesn't approach you first, it may not happen. So that was good advice. Any final thoughts before we let you go, John? We we literally went in another room and snatched John out and brought him in.
He had no
here.
clue. That's been a trend the past couple
that's
weeks.
how it's supposed to be. We don't tell them that we're going to talk to them. But any final thoughts before we let you go?
Yeah, no, nothing for me. Just gotta be safe during the holidays. This can be one of the most dangerous times of the year.
That
is so true.
Great point.
Well, thanks for talking to us, John. We appreciate you do a good job, and we appreciate everything you do for Redd Pest Solutions. So that was John Levron. Kind of rhymes. John Levron.
John Levron.
That hasn't even occurred to me until now, but I like John. He's kind of quiet. Till you get him till you sit him down and you start talking to him.
No, he definitely opens up the more you get to know him.
Yeah, he does. He's a good guy. So, Like I said, I do enjoy doing those segments because it seems like I'm always learning something new about these folks. But anyway, that kind of brings us to the conclusion of our show. As always, if you're in the state of Mississippi, we highly recommend that you join the Mississippi Pest Control Association. And how do they contact us, Kolby, if they want to get involved in the MPCA?
Just Google us. You can find our Facebook page, our website that has just been newly put together. And we have our annual association meeting coming up in January in Natchez, Mississippi. So get involved, reach out. Mr. Norman Louvier is the up-and-coming president, taking from Mr. Trey Schubert. So we're excited for that and his participation, and we'd love to have you there. So,
and if you've got any questions or if you need information, you can't find the MPCA website or any of the information, you could always email us at the Red Man Podcast at redpest.com. Don't forget, Red has 2 D's.
2 D's.
And not only that, I mean, if you've got any topics you'd like for us to talk about or any technicians or people in the industry you'd like for us to talk to, that's the place, obviously, to get in touch with us and let us know about that. So, with that said, we will have one more episode before Christmas. At least that's the plan, unless something catastrophic happens. So, we will talk to you one more time before Christmas. Otherwise, I think that's it for this episode. Do you have anything else?
No, sir. Y'all have a happy Christmas.
Well, we're going to talk to him again before Christmas, Kolby.
Oh, we are?
Yeah,
I'm
you're
sorry.
not. See, he's looking at his phone.
Y'all can still have a happy Christmas up until we talk to you again. I'm going to tell you, have a Merry Christmas then. How about that?
All right. Everybody have a good week. I'll just say that, and we'll see you next time on the Red Man Podcast.